Hey there, it's Elizabeth from Living Vibrantly, and I wanted to make this video just because I was thinking recently. A lot of you know that we went through IVF treatments last summer and fall, and I just had realized how different the experience was for me than compared to when I had surgery for endometriosis in 2014, and leading up to that, I had been so incredibly nervous and ended up, sorry, just figuring out how to back up here without telling you my whole life story. But so most of you know that I had a history of an eating disorder, and over the course of several years was part of a 12-step group and therapy, and many, did a lot of work to get past that. But even though for the most part I'll always be in recovery, but mostly I'm able to avoid relapsing. But during times that I'm under a lot of stress, it can come back. And I know that a lot of you probably have experienced something similar where, maybe you have cured yourself of emotional eating, but then kind of when the going gets tough, those old habits just rear their ugly head again. So I was reflecting on what was different, where, going through IVF and the whole routine with shots and then a procedure where, I was nervous because I had complications from a previous surgery, and it just was an incredibly nerve-wracking experience, but I still was able to get through it for the most part without relying on food, in the sense of like having a huge candy binge. So as I was reflecting on what was different, I was thinking about what I did differently that maybe I could share to help you guys. And you might have seen that I posted on this page a couple days ago that I'll be offering a 5-day free group on emotional eating. So I'll have some details about that at the end of this video, but I'm going to give you the 3 tips right here. So the first one that I have for you, one of the actions that I took to get past that cycle of turning to sugar was to stop, take a time out, and identify what I was feeling. And these are such deeply ingrained patterns that it's just really essential to do something different, to replace what you would normally do with another action. So, for me, what worked was buying a journal, having the journal in a convenient place, having it with me all the time. And then, the first few times is the hardest, when I feel like going to Walgreens, buying some candy, because the feelings are just overwhelming and they're getting to be too much. Instead, I get out the journal, and it sounds really simple, but it's really hard to do when you have a habit of doing something else. So the first thing is to just commit that, if it's writing, or if it's maybe going for a walk, or if there's a friend you can call. So decide what you're going to do, and once you start feeling that craving for, whatever your trigger foods are, that's when you have to redirect it and either verbalize or put in writing, what are you feeling that's making you want to engage in emotional eating? So, when your life is being ruled by food and you're in that constant cycle of shame, nothing is more important than just stopping. And this was something I realized when I was initially in treatment, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna leave my office and go make a phone call to a friend. But that was what I needed to do, because otherwise I was just gonna stay in this really, unproductive, stuck, just icky feeling cycle in my life. So interrupt and realize nothing is more important than taking care of you. And, name those feelings. And chances are, by the time you're done writing it out or talking it out, the feeling will have passed, the feeling will have changed, and the cravings might very well be gone. So that was really a big one. Number 2 is being kind to yourself in other ways. So I know that everyone's experience is different when you have issues with food and emotional eating, But thanks for the thumbs up. I can't see who that was, but whoever it was, thank you. Everyone's experience is different when it comes to food and emotional eating, but I think a common thread is if we're kind of feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, perfectionistic, where we expect a lot of ourselves and we have kind of no outlet, where we feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing well enough in life at like a million different things, and food becomes a treat that because we feel that we don't deserve to treat ourselves well, it comes out sideways. At least that's how it was for me. So when I started pampering myself in other ways, take a little time to read a good book. This overlaps a little bit with number one. Take the time to call a friend who really cares about you, or even, share with your partner if you're married or if you're in a romantic relationship. Share with them what you're feeling. Take some time to connect to another person, or things like even doing crafts, painting, if you have an artistic pursuit that you enjoy. But instead of thinking about it as a waste of time, think of it as an investment in yourself. That, when you start to engage in these activities, it's going to divert and provide an outlet for those feelings that right now are going into food. So reading a book, practicing yoga was a big one for me. It could be taking a bath. I mean, whatever you enjoy. And you might have to try some different things to figure out what you enjoy, because we can really lose touch with that. But okay, so number one was finding a way to verbalize the feelings in writing or speaking to a friend. And number two was doing something kind for yourself that doesn't involve food. And then number three was seeking out others with similar experiences. So, I shared just a few minutes ago that I was part of a 12 Steps Overeaters Anonymous support group that was immensely helpful to me, just in hearing that other people had similar experiences to me. And I don't go to that anymore, but I did start again when I started having some trouble with, again, those old habits cropping up. So just don't underestimate the power in connecting with people who've had a similar experience. If you're interested in Overeaters Anonymous, it's oa.org. You can find a meeting near you. I guarantee there's one close to you, at least in the United States, wherever you live. But another tool can be Facebook support groups. And, these are kind of, there's just, there's a lot out there on the internet that's kind of dark and scary. So be discriminating, but you can find very positive and supportive groups as well. And if you are struggling with these issues, please reach out to me and I can plug you into some of the resources that I've found, because I've kind of investigated a lot of them and found the ones that are good and the ones that, gotten myself out of the ones where they're maybe promoting eating disorders and things like that. But, there are online communities. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that I have a healthy living support group that's actually totally free. And it's called Living Vibrantly Wellness Warriors. And it's people working on all kinds of goals. It's not eating disorder specific, but if emotional eating is a problem for you, it's certainly something you could work on in that group and have support for it from the group and from me. So if you're interested in joining, you can leave a comment or send me a message and I will add you in. And then if you want to be part of the free 5-day group where we put some of these things, the 3 things I mentioned, but also more, I'll share more about what I found to be helpful with emotional eating. And we'll actually practice it together and just put some structure around it for 5 days. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but if you send me a message, I will make sure that you find out about it when the time comes. So thank you very much to those who have watched, and definitely send me a message, just even if you want to just share that you're struggling with these issues, because I've struggled. I talk about it all the time how much I've struggled, because I know that other people are, and it might feel like something that you can't talk about. Even if you're watching the video later, just, I'm always here. You can always send me a message. So thanks, guys, and thanks for following my page. Have a great night.